It's been 60 shifts for this crew, 30 shifts of the night shift. Welcome back, everybody. Chris Bucket alongside Jason Kaplan and ZP. We've got subscribers already rolling in. Thank you all for the continued support. And ZP, we were just thinking about it. At least 210 days straight of Deadlock competitions. The last 3 weeks may have been the best we've seen yet.
Yeah, I mean, we've finally seen some of the Kings of the Hill get dethroned, of course, in Night Shift proper in EU. Abraham's not only getting knocked off their throne, but failing to retake it last week, showing that things are always evolving in the Deadlock competitive scene. And over in North America, even though Melee Creeps have held on to their Night Shift streak, we did see them lose in the Freak Fest tournament. So all in all, things are changing, and not the least of which, of course, is because we still have a brand new patch that hit, and the meta is still very much settling.
Kaplan, as our local Lash lover, I got to ask you about your champions, your favorite heroes to be running recently. Who has been in the meta? Who do you personally like playing right now?
You know what's weird? I've been playing a lot of support lately. I've been playing a lot of like Paige. I've been playing a lot of Rem. Ivy as well, because Ivy is just damn strong. If you have a good M1 carry on your team, you can just power through people. But I don't know. I've been, for some reason, in the support camp, though, I'm starting to go back to Infernus, man. Infernus is like something about him. I can't play well with him for some reason. Every time I play against an Infernus, I get absolutely destroyed.
Smoked.
But one day, smoked. One day I'll figure out how to play him properly, though. But Puckett, I've been seeing you've been grinding, and I think there's a certain love in your heart.
Yeah, I've dealt with a whole bunch of family stuff. I finally have time to game again, and I have been a fucking McGinnis main. It's the Torbjorn of Deadlock. I like healing my teammates once every 15 minutes. The rest I use on myself. It's been a good time so far. I gotta say, the most frustrating player to play against, though, has to be Viscous. I can never kill him, and after watching Goober's performance last week, that is my new character to master. But let's dive into the format of the show, because we have been here 29 times in the past. Episode 29 was incredible, and ZP, we expect tonight to be just as good. Abrahams versus Lowkey W. Again, that is the starting matchup, as Leviathan is now our two-time reigning champion. What went down in EU last week, and what are we expecting this time around?
I mean, EU, of course, went to the wire last week, going to 3 Abrahams. While they ended up falling again, they made a much better show of it, where, of course, previously, when they got knocked off the throne, it was a 2-0. I'm kind of expecting Abrahams to retake the crown this week, if for nothing else, is that I think they were getting a little bit sloppy towards the end of their streak, and we had things like Demov going off and playing Melee 7. I think Abrahams was looking for a challenge, and then they unexpectedly got one from Leviathan, who, of course, made Mo and Krill look good even before the buffs. And now, though, they've had 2 weeks to get used to the brand new patch, and I would expect them to be resurgent. I just think there's way too much talent on the roster for that not to be the case. Also, I got to go back like 2 seconds to the Goober Viscous comment and just say,
yes,
by rebuttal against Viscous, turn the punch into a heal and get a big damage amp from it. The fact that people are not buying rebuttal against Viscous is the biggest malpractice and itemization that even the people at the top level fall prey to. Like, please, just buy rebuttal.
You can't parry the big goo ball rolling over you time and time again, like we saw last week for him as well. So yeah, help me in the lane phase, but I don't know what you do when that big ball comes at you.
Don't go in the close quarters, and ideally don't pick Wraith. Pick Venator. Venator, way better.
Some people like being submissive to that stuff. Let's take a look, though, and give a shout out to our supporters. We got Jason Kaplan here to break down our Patreons. The night shift has been growing with the help of our residents and more. Jason, how do you join the patrons?
Just head over to our Patreon. You can see over on our links down below, over on Twitch, and I believe on YouTube as well. And you can support us in any way, shape, or form. Any amount is always going to help us here. But I have to say, if there's any more people who get added into our Patreon, I don't think we're going to be able to read any of these names because they're getting so small and so tiny as it is.
We might have to make a second card. I'm with you, ZP. Like brains. Let's take a look here at the big ones at the top. Effects, one of the originals. Thank you so much for all of your support, guys. $250 is not a small amount. We really appreciate it. It helps fund everything behind the scenes, and of course, encourage the players to come back in the future. We start every show with $600 up for grabs for each region. Then, of course, with the exclamation donate, you can contribute to that prize pool. We've seen some big donos from folks like Colaris last week who was hyping up his own podcast. You guys can come and do something similar. I read almost everything you put in the chat, whether my producers like it or not. ZP, let's talk about the squads, though, because we've got a lot of watch parties and we want to get to the games as quick as we can. EU has some jam-packed rosters, some stacked ones, in fact. Lowkey W, do they have the talent to hang out with Abrahams? And if so, who do you like on their screen?
I mean, look, when you talk about Lowkey W, of course, you got to go basically to the basics and talk about Listic, right? Where, he's not on screen right now. No, he's on screen.
There he is.
We probably should update the signature hero, and that's probably on me. For Listic, I would say recently he was on the McGinnis grind and saying, you know what, I want to make this hero work. And, you look at overall the matches last week, actually a pretty good choice. Didn't quite work out for Lowkey W and getting through Abrahams, but, I mean, this team is packed full of talent. You have Listic, who's one of the most seasoned competitive players of all time, along with Obakim, with all the experience they had on Buff Enjoyers, Cosmetical, who is kind of slotted into the, I don't know what to call the role, but basically whatever you want to call the role for people playing Mina, Pocket, impact heroes that, make flashy plays, Cosmetical,
the idol role,
one of the best around. Yeah, the idol role, but we don't need to inflate his ego where it's at. True. Yeah, it just really occurred to me. We never really attached an actual name to that, unlike, Initiator, Pick Playmaker, like you have for other things. And
it's not a hard carry?
No. That'd be more your M1 role.
Flashy player, I think, is a better way to put it, to be honest. Look at this roster, though, ZP. One player that stands out to me, obviously, outside of the five here, it's Mazda G, because before last week, I had not really heard of Mazda G whatsoever, and he's playing with a team who's so tried and tested in Deadlock at the highest level for such a long time. I mean, Listic, Obakim, Empty Dreams have been up there since the beginning, pretty much, and Cosmetical's obviously had a rise to the ranks. Rank also shown what he could do with Lowkey W in its prior iteration, but to play on a star setup lineup for this, they must have a lot of faith in him as a player.
Europe has a lot of stars from, of course, Russia, but this team, we've got a Finnish star, we've got a player from Germany. I saw Linkser, the former Overwatch M1 player. Is there a chance we see some of the old guard making their way into Deadlock?
We've been seeing a little bit of it so far. I mean, especially over in APAC, where you got people like Bishu, Decay, Birdringer all playing the game. Not necessarily under their real names, supposedly, but, there's a lot of veterans all around. I also think, as time goes on, Deadlock gets into its later stages, you will see some familiar names that maybe are, in the OW or Marvel Rivals scene come on over. And what roles they'll pick, though, is kind of interesting. You might go, it's like, oh, that guy's a natural M1 player. And then they go, no, actually, I just want to play support. It's very interesting what people actually attach to once they're within the Deadlock space.
With all that said, who is the M1 player, real quick, Jason Kaplan from Lowkey W, before we talk Abrahams?
I would have to say maybe it's Empty Dreams now transitioning to that role for them, which isn't necessarily the role he would play before. It was more of like that that spirit nuker towards the mid game with a heavy emphasis on Pocket. But in his later half of his career before Lowkey W, he definitely transitioned into that role. But I'm surprised you guys brought up all these OGs when it comes to Overwatch. But my boy Tim the Tatman, I saw playing Deadlock last week as well, man. He's getting into it. He was watching Ido's previous matches, trying to learn how to play. I'm excited to see if he can get into it and maybe get his GM back that he had in Overwatch.
Let's talk Abrahams here. D-Mov has been the star if you're looking at recent statistics. Sonya Sniper has had great games. Taz has one of the best paradoxes since the start of Deadlock. So who do you enjoy watching most on this screen, ZP?
I mean, all in all, I think historically you got to give it to D-Mov, just because I think D-Mov has been one of the most consistent playmakers. But the reality is for Abrahams, they have multiple players that you would consider the top in Europe. I think Hoot is right up there with D-Mov when you're talking about people that not only take the new heroes super well, but make impact plays. When you're looking for people in the pick role, Tass is basically defined it for Abrahams, whether it be on Paradox, Bebop. Saint was really one of the first supports to fully stand out as a dedicated support in the role. And of course, Frontline together got to play like 6 months of uninterrupted Shiv to massive results. Abraham's just stacked. They have been for a long time.
I want to give a shout out to Nicholas Richard 1639, one of our members over on YouTube. He says, if you're talking about Mina and that style of character, burst hero / assassin is that role Ido likes to play. Thank you very much, Nicholas. Let's keep it rolling here. I've seen Together rocking a Shiv. You saw Yamato as his favorite. Kaplan, current meta, what do you want to see Together on tonight? Where's he most dangerous?
I don't know, man. I've really been enjoying Yamato with Mystic Reverb. Like, the amount of healing you do with the change to her power slash, the extra distance you get, and the scaling, it is just ridiculous amount of damage you can put down in these fights. But I still want to see like his tried and patented Shiv, because obviously we've had big changes to the ultimate. We've had changes to the straight up blades, now doing more damage but no impact damage. I want to see his style and how he kind of feels it out and make Shiv work in this current patch, though. I think we all agree Shiv is still damn strong.
Yeah, Shiv was on fire. You saw the Mina on fire as well. Unfortunately, both of those players were on Leviathan during that Game 3 ZP. Today, we get to see the heroes potentially landing for Abrahams, and it's time to get into our draft. But first, we need a 1v1 ZP. Mo and Krill doesn't make it into more than 3 of our starting lineups tonight.
We'll see. I mean, teams have still been very eager to ban Mo and Krill, and if you do pick him, you have to pick him at a high premium. He usually goes first in drafts. That didn't really change over the last week per the Scrim Bucks. So, if you like Mo and Krill, at the very least, you get a little bit in the Mo 1v1. But before we get deep into that, we got our hero priority.
Yes.
And, this is where you're wondering, why are you talking up Mo so much? Well, because he got banned first time 6 times last week, and the times that he wasn't, he got first picked. I think what's also really interesting here for longtime viewers, and no, it is not a bug on your screen, is the fact that McGinnis came roaring back onto the scene. Yeah, she's good now.
She's real strong. Mina was also highly picked, but you see the Billy goat. Whenever you see Mo banned, Billy was the prio pick for the front line. Is that going to be true tonight, Kaplan?
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I think the fact is, like, people aren't. I'm trying to find Abrams here really quickly to make a point related to him, and he was actually picked 4 times. But it seems like Billy has really gone as the frontliner that you want. But more importantly, I'd say the initiator. We're not really seeing much Paradox play. We're not really seeing much Holiday play anymore, even Bebop. So they're really relying on that chain gang to open up these fights, to create the opportunity for these teams with how the mid-game skirmishes play out. But I think the most interesting change we've had from previous shifts to this one for me is actually Kelvin coming in with 4 bans and 3 picks, because we've not seen Kelvin picked that much. He just kind of fell out of the meta for such a long time. But with recent changes, and of course, the amount of healing he can do in these fights, as we saw last week. I mean, we had Abraham's pick a Kelvin and a Ren together up against Lowkey W, and just absolutely demolish him with the amount of raw healing that they could do. With the change to Kelvin, man, I expect to see him still a high priority pick, and I'm expecting to see Pocket there at number 3 with 3 bans to go up as well.
Now, can we get clarity, ZP? Was this officially from 28 or number 29 last week?
This should have been 29. I'm pretty sure 29. This is a production, not an error in the pick band, but an error on the
clarifying it for the chat. You and I were on the same page. Yeah. We all trust Solomon. Solomon, let's keep it rolling here to the next graphic, because not only do we have to talk about the characters that are going to be prioritized throughout the drafts, it's also about picking up the right items once we get into the game. There seem to be common healing items, as we see every single week. ZP, anything new? If anyone has been out of the meta since the updates, what else do they need to add to their picks?
Well, I think the biggest thing of note here is that Healbane rocketed back up as a main priority. Also, greater expansion, where, if you watch me and Jake go over the patch notes and when they hit, the number one thing we enjoyed trying out was going, hey, greater expansion is way better, especially with a whole bunch of ultimate abilities, because many more things got range, and people realized that, and it, went way higher up in pick rate. Also, Counterspell went down in pick rate. Still was seen. It wasn't like it was unpicked, but there was less of the idea of every single person on the team grab a Counterspell. So that did go down a bit, as a result of some of the patch changes.
Yeah,
Jason,
and I think
go ahead.
I just think for me, one thing we've seen, I want to say it was 28, or maybe it was actually 27, that almost every single item in this top 10 was all vitality items. They were all green items, but we're starting to see some spirit items come into the works here. Greater expansion, very important when it comes to likes of Billy, Kelvin as well, and a couple of other heroes in there, even, potentially your Venator, superior duration as well. I think this kind of shows we've seen a heavy change in the meta of really focus on this mid game. No gun items to be seen whatsoever, because we don't really see too much invested into that on one hero
Does
a game.
Does monster rounds qualify?
Yeah, yes and no. I would say mostly no. I think that's just mostly something you pick up early on. You don't really use it to transition into Cultist that often. Venator will pick up Cultist over here over in NA. He'll pick up Cultist because they like to go for the grenade max. Here they like to go for the gut shot max for melee. So just some like small changes have been really cool to see. That like Spirit's been getting a bump up here in our leaderboard. But I'm honestly surprised, ZP, to see Dispel Magic kind of so high with the prevalence of certain heroes who can now cleanse off non-ultimate debuffs within their own abilities. Like Haze, for instance, though we didn't see her, but Kelvin can do that. And I believe there's one more. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, you got Kelvin, you got Haze, and yeah, it'll come back to me on the third one. But you know what we have? We got the 1v1 that is ready to go here. That's right.
It's ready?
It's ready. That's right.
Do we know who's in blue trunks tonight?
It should be on the UI, I think.
Okay,
Let's see.
Let's zoom in this time if we can. Production it was really far away. Let's get Saints in yellow. Saints in yellow. All right. So I feel like Abrahams are the favorite. In blue, who do we got? Can you read that?
That's Listic.
Go ahead, Z.
My old man eyes are having a hard time seeing that as well sometimes with it moving. But yeah, I mean, honestly, when it comes down to this, it comes down to like, is there an advantage to having first pick or second pick anymore? I think it mostly comes down to like what you ban and what your game plan is.
Depends on who you ask, and I think the flavor of the day. Teams tend to waffle back and forth, but this one's coming down to the wire. Listic, low HP, taken up by Saint at the very end. That was one
we
of the
need to
longer
start counting the Mo 1v1 wins, because I know Abrahams haven't been in mini, but I feel like Saint is a favorite every time I see him in the ring. You mentioned you don't know if you want to be the first one to ban or the second one. Is that because Mo and Krill has such a high priority? Is it because you don't know the prio between 1 and 5? Explain that a little bit to me, Kaplan.
I think it mostly just comes down to the amount of really strong heroes in the game right now and what you prioritize to build your draft around. Because typically you'll see like Billy, as we saw before, is a very high first pick. We've been hearing some things from a certain bringer of light about Geist being apparently really strong right now, which we see an initial ban come out right off the bat for Abrahams. But things like Celeste as well will have high priority. Mina has high priority. I would say even maybe Kelvin you might see in a top 3 pick on top of that. And then of course there's still Ivy on the cards here to be picked if you want to go towards the M1 route. But then again, Ivy, like the cooldown or ultimate is so fast. You're everywhere in the entire map.
ZP, is there a reason to get rid of Silver over the other brawlers? Because this means Mo and Krill is available.
Well, it means you're giving up the Mo and Krill. I think it just, in this case, they would rather deal with the Mo and Krill than deal with Abrahams playing Silver. I mean, Silver's kind of interesting that the teams that can play it well are absolutely devastating. I do think what you give up, though, when you prioritize Mo and Krill like this, Lowkey W should grab Venator as one of the next 2 picks. People have really honed in on the idea that Ven is the M1 carry at the moment. And maybe we'll be surprised here, but to me, it looks like Lowkey W, they're not going to prioritize frontline. They'll grab Mina and they'll get Ven and, you know, secure more of their late game here.
No Abrams here?
I don't think so.
Or Billy.
Venator it is. ZP knows his ball. All right, over to you, Kaplan. Expectations for Abrahams.
I think what's weird to me is looking at the drafts just this last week alone after the update ZP, we see way more squishy heroes coming through and less emphasis on like a front line. I know we saw like initially after the patch over in Freak Fest, there was a heavy investment on like your Calicos, Yamato, Billy, Drifter front lines to just kind of swarm over an enemy. But as the dust has kind of settled, it seems like tankiness hasn't really been king here. And I say that obviously as we have Billy being picked up with Mo and Krill, that is a tanky front line. But again, as I said before, Billy's used more as an initiator now, it feels like these days.
Ooh.
Billy, Shiv, Mo. That is some thick bodies to start the lineup here for Abrahams.
Do you go Pocket? I really want to see more Pocket, honestly, because he's just so strong. You max that ultimate, there's no healing. It's like a one fight. There we go. So we do get Pocket coming through. I was really surprised to see Pocket not picked by Lowkey W last week when they knew Kelvin was in top 3 ZP. It blew my mind because it eventually got through into the bans, but finally we're going to see it come out. And I'm assuming that's going to be Empty Dreams. Like that's his hero.
Yeah, I mean, for Pocket, they definitely got significant buffs. And it's sort of interesting where Pocket, they'll get valued and then get less valued. It'll kind of go back and forth. Even when Pocket's good, it's very variable. But the thing that's interesting to me is that if I go back into Lowkey W draft, the thing I don't love here really is that I think Billy is the most premium frontliner in the game. And to go open up with like Mina Venador, I think it was a bit of a misplay. I think if they opened up Billy Venator, I'd like their draft a lot more because with both Billy, Shiv, and Mo all off the table, Lowkey W doesn't have a lot to compensate with in terms of frontline play. Like maybe they grab something like a Kelvin, you know, they get a little bit more from the support end, but Abrahams is going to just be able to walk at Lowkey W for significant portions of this game.
But I mean, don't you think at the same time though? I mean, okay, ignoring the first two picks just to go jump back to Pocket really fast. Picking Pocket, doesn't that kind of indirectly ban Kelvin too for the enemy team? So you kind of get like 2 bans in the turn there indirectly.
It depends. I mean, you have Divine Barrier, which you can get, which nullifies Pocket, and how we can, or rather, how they can sort of defend against Kelvin in the late game. But I don't know. Also, Warden for Abrahams, I don't love this at all. Like,
You don't
this
like
is the
Warden.
problem. This is the problem with going Venator and Mina
In a best
early
of
in the
one.
draft. Yeah, I mean, now you feel like you have to go Warden to compensate, and I don't love where Warden is currently.
Patrons are lucky to have someone
You know
like me
that.
fight for them.
They're
Apollo,
going like full squish, full on burst. Like
all the skinny kids.
Yeah, I almost don't imagine Lowkey W to pick up any sort of front line now. They do need like a quote unquote support. I think maybe Ivy would fit well into this kind of thing because you have like a lot of mobility with her. You can use it to. Oh, they do go front line. Wow, so they're playing basically supportless with this game, which is weird because there's going to be no natural rescue beam holder for their team to pull Mo and Krill in when he starts comboing someone.
Is it the Paradox ult? Does that interrupt it?
Right?
It pulls Mo and your teammate to your team. So it does. It doesn't interrupt it completely, but it does like pull him away from his team. But then again, now you have to worry about Lash in this one, and that's like you don't really have anything to stop the Lash either. Again, you don't have a natural knockdown taker as far as I'm aware.
Especially raining in London. Thank you for that showcase. Here it is snowing in Ohio after being 60 degrees last week. ZP, the earth is going to melt or explode. Meteors are hitting Cleveland, Ohio. How are things shaping up for our battle between the Russian squads?
As I look at it right here, I mean, it's sort of interesting because on one hand, Abraham's basically grabbed premium frontline. Lowkey W, by comparison, they grabbed premium late game carries, especially Venator, who in my mind is a little bit, not matched. And between the two, I mean, it's going to be interesting how this plays out. I feel like Abrahams has a lot more ability to actually dictate engagements. The problem for Abrahams is their ability to actually punish late game, as things get a little bit deeper and actually taking people out, because I don't think Warden is one of the stronger choices to do that. So both teams actually, because of how they angled the draft, both teams are very strong in some regards and very weak in others. I think in terms of tempo, I still give a little bit of an edge to Abrahams, but there's a lot of ways that this can go wrong for them too.
Pyronex says, these drafts stink. I think it could be an interesting game. You got squishies versus the thickies. Kaplan, break it down for anyone who is not a Deadlock expert, for all the noobs that are joining in on the hype of Deadlock here at Night Shift. What do they need to know? How would you describe this in football terms or Call of Duty terms?
Sorry, by football, do you mean the American horrible name version of the game?
I was
or
opening
you
it
mean,
up
like,
to you to do whatever you
Okay.
wanted, knowing you're in Italy, but from America.
I can't do either because I don't watch either. So I'm just going to get straight to Deadlock terms if I can because I'm not much of a sports fan anymore.
Deal.
I think Abrahams, they want to control the fight. They want to control the position that they fight him, to use the SM from Lash, to chain it. I'm imagining we're going to see a Vortex Web at a Doorman as well. And then you have a chain gang on top of that. You're going to keep people grouped up together really easily with this composition. Then you have Warden as well, with the last 10 to follow it up with. And then, of course, most likely together on shift to just dash through this. For me, Lowkey W, they've struggled in fighting in areas that are good for them, but they have a decent composition to kind of fight, I would say almost anywhere, though more grouped up, the better. Pocket with the Affliction on top of whatever Abraham's groups up with. Venator could be really good considering it's most likely going to be the gut shot build for melee, fighting in these close quarters where you can knock them into walls. You have Apollo with flawless advance through that. You have charges of Abraham, the time bomb out of Paradox. I think Lowkey W, they want to fight in close quarters. Abraham's, they want to fight out in the open and create opportunities from that. So you're going to see those two teams, I think, dance around where they fight to be the most effective.
ZP, somebody said this is tiny people boxing with no blocking. Thoughts?
Ooh. I mean, that's a lot to be said, but yeah, I mean, I think as I look at here, if this were a few patches ago, I would say Lowkey W has a way better draft just because Abrams was the frontliner. Abrams took several steps down, and now if you play Abrams, like the general view is that he's more viable, but you have to play more of a Spirit Abrams build, and he's definitely squishier and not the threat that he used to be. I think a lot of this game actually will kind of depend on the early to mid game. Like, I think if Lowkey W can get into mid game and have things be even and actually get to like a well-farmed Ven, Mina late game and, have Pocket generally, drop Affliction, make things pretty difficult for, Kelvin, or not Kelvin in this case, because he's not getting played, but, for the enemy team in general, it's a good spot. But I think Abrahams also has the risk where if Abrahams gets like 20k ahead by mid game, Lowkey W isn't going to be able to fight anything. Like, Abrahams is going to hold W and Lowkey W is going to get run over. So a lot really depends on the early to mid.
Kaplan, why is there no McGinnis in this game if she is so good in the current meta?
Yeah, I couldn't answer that, honestly. I think it's just mostly about what comp that they set out to go for. I don't really have a better answer than that, to be fair. I know we saw Listic playing a bunch of it. I'm assuming he's going to be on Abrams this game. I wouldn't be surprised to see McGinnis, though, in EU, Puckett. So I think you're still going to be in luck when we get to that portion of the broadcast. Sorry, in NA.
NA, yeah. Us Americans love us. The thickness. Here we go. Abrahams versus Lowkey W. On the mic for our EU Challenger match, it's ZP and Kaplan. Take it away, Zeep.
All right, we're getting into it. We'll see how the laning phase is going to go down here. And it's kind of interesting because I feel like, Jason, most of the time you look at Abrahams, you can go like, okay, this is a good draft. I don't really see a lot of weakness here. But the way this panned out with Lowkey W opening with the Mina Ven, it really put a very different spin on this game.
I think you're right in that sense. But I think one thing that Lowkey W maybe organized their comp around is not necessarily team play. Because obviously being a newer team, having to swap out a couple different players, it takes a while to get things going. It takes a while to pull off like these quote unquote wombo combos that Abrahams have kind of set themselves up for it. And I think we talk about Abrahams as probably being one of the best team fight teams in the game, even compared to North American teams. I think we can say maybe they have a little bit more better macro over in NA. But fighting up against that team, I think they want to, if they're going to go for the win, they're trying to put it in their own hands here. They're not trying to pull off something they're not really tested for. And I think that's maybe why I saw the draft play out this way.
Also, since we got Listic on Abram.
It's Ray Pocket. Well, I thought Empty Dreams would be picking that bad boy up.
No, I mean, Empty Dreams has decided to go more M1. Pocket used to be something Empty Dreams played a lot and now is simply shifted roles. Even back in the Leviathan days for Empty Dreams before Ray came into the picture. But given that we have Listic on Abrams, and Listic was calling Abrams the big blue tickle monster and gun build, it's probably going to be a Spirit Abrams coming out from Listic, just based on his public comments and how he's approached the hero over the last week.
Big blue tickle monster. That I've never heard that phrase before. Those words put in the same kind of sentence. As we do hit the 2-minute mark, going to be going for the boxes, obviously, as we see Listic starting things off in the enemy side of the map. Even a little bit of contesting over at the tier 1 cap in towards middle. As with Sonya Sniper on Warden, I know you were complaining about some Warden builds we saw in North America, I think like 2 weeks ago. What do you expect to see Sonya go for? Is he going for like a cage max to go for the silence to make it a lot easier to capture someone?
I think you have to build a hybrid build. So Lightbringer converted me on this, where I was complaining about, hey, I don't think Warden's all that strong right now. And Lightbringer was saying, wait. What if you go the hybrid build, Warden? And it involves like a decent amount of egg maxing into the mid to late game, where every time you go to base, you buy egg and wait till 450. And like hit it at 450 for 3 buffs. In fact, can we get a look at items real quick? Like, did Sanya open? Yes, he did not open egg. So Sanya is not entirely Lightbringer pilled, but there's a lot of idea behind egg maxing on Warden, because Warden gets something out of every single stat. Like because he gets fire rate out of Spirit on top of his contribution to his ult, damage on Cage, etc., etc. Like, Warden uses every stat from egg effectively. So if you want Warden to actually have real high carry potential, egg is probably part of how you want to play him at the moment.
And the weird thing is, I don't see Sonya as being one of those players that would go hybrid. I think he's more about just straight gun every time that we possibly can see it, though. I want to see if he maybe changed my mind here. Maybe I'm going to be indirectly wrong, but that's the vision I have of him as a player in my head. But Doorman as well, man. Doorman, we saw some like crazy stuff over in Freakfest, the amount of damage he can put out, the change to his bells. I'm curious to see what TAS is going to be going for here. It looks like he has opening rounds queued up for a little bit of extra damage in lane. Doorman can be so damn annoying in matches, especially the later the game goes, the more Spirit you have, the farther your doors can travel. You can throw people back in your own spawn from like halfway across the map, and that's something that you really have to be aware of when you're playing against them.
Also, I think it's kind of funny that people kind of came back to the conclusion, oh yeah, Doorman's good, even after they reverted the Bell buff. Like, he still maintained the Baroness buff, But a little bit of a ride here off the luggage cart into the bell, and Cosmetical feeling a bit of hurt. Cage coming out, and Cosmetical surely about to fall. Sanya able to finish it off.
Yep. I mean, that's kind of the point I'm making. It wasn't in the base, but he threw him into the Guardian, and then he had to use his bats just to get away, but eventually got caught out on it. Who gets a catch here as well? Namaza G with a great ground strike coming through. And that is going to be another kill going the way of Abraham's here. I think that's 3 unanswered so far. Actually, sorry, that's 2 with Listic getting the initial one in the beginning.
Bring Mo on a bit of a journey. He can't get away. Vrake in on the finish. As this right lane probably going the best for Lowkey W here so far. And you take a look at the Abrams build here for Listic. He has Arcane Surge queued up. So clearly it is going to be more the Spirit build than just maxing likely Siphon first.
Yeah, I honestly, it is a big change to his survivability too. The fact that it's no longer a cone in front of you, it's a big AoE around you, 360 degrees. Makes it a lot easier in team fights to just get this constant healing coming your way. But we do have the 5-minute mark come in, and Mina actually makes it through the door. Cosmetical going on the chase on a task, and I think that's a movement buff. Yeah, it is going to be a movement buff. It's a little bit hard to catch him and kind of dispose of that buff right away, but you see the intention here at a task, and I didn't catch it. See who caught it on the right-hand side.
Ground slam in from Hoot. Mazag gonna fall at the end of it. And also the Taz, all I can think of there is that's how you get kicked from your Rust groups, when you don't close the door and let someone in at the very end. But to be fair, Cosmetical was just directly on top as that happened.
Good use here of the combo of Death Slam and the Chain Gang. Hooting together. I mean, we talked about Wombo combo for them. Good charge comes in out of Listic, gets Saint out of position. And Saint's not quite at that ultimate just yet, only at 3.2 because he's been heavily punished in the lane by Listic and Vrake so far. And I think they know this is an opportunity to go for a kill, knowing he doesn't have ultimate just yet.
Deep dive on the Cosmetical, but of course Mo has scored and heals a lot of it back up, and suddenly it's Listic. Much more in the hot seat here. 100 HP and down. Demov in on the finish.
Just feels dirty seeing Demov kill Listic though. After the amount of time they spent together in a team, man. Feels like blasphemy to see this, but there you go. The damage that a Shiv can do. We thought it would be onto Together, but he's going to be on the Billy. We do have the Doorman ultimate coming in onto Obi-Kim. And he's got a lot of friends around him as well. But I think he had a parry in there, so he didn't actually get knocked through the door.
He was able to get flawless advance up immediately after, and as a result, doesn't get sent on a one-way ride to Doom. But it is honestly nice to see Doorman getting more play. I think players actually overreacted to the change where you couldn't bring Urn through doors, because, I mean, in general, a lot of the early game power is strong, but okay, off on the lane here. Billy, bash down, pressure here on the Mazag. Mazag unable to get away here on the left-hand side, where you take a look, Abrahams are pretty deep behind enemy territory. Empty Dreams at half HP, but also, not feeling ultra comfortable with 2 around.
I mean, to be fair though, Hoot and Together have been just really playing with their food here in this lane. Like they're at 5.6, 5.1 respectively. You can see Empty Dreams at 4.3, Mazaji at 3.5. Again, not hitting his ultimate just yet. Might see a catch here onto Hoot though. I guess the flog off, but it's not gonna be enough HP. And now I might even get another kill with the swap coming through. The backups might not be there in time. It looks like Together will escape just barely. Mazaji able to get himself back on the board, more importantly.
Ooh, Listic feeling the brunt towards the end, off the rotation of Abrahams here into the right-hand side. And this is also a bigger threat. Like, I think people overreacted to some of the Shiv nerfs that came in because he also got buffs at the same time. And the thing I'm worried about here for Lowkey W more than a lot of anything else is just Demov getting off to a monster start, because knives have never hurt more than how they hurt right now. As you see Apollo, I think he just ate 2 and is ticking down.
Yeah, and it's Demov as well. The charge gonna land. Use the ultimate to just escape here. Also, that's a new addition right to Shiv, because you can just cast it freely now instead of having to have a target to go for. As Listic's going on the chase, gets the parry on the Guardian, but that's going to be the Doorman coming off to the side here. Tass able to save his teammate and actually punish Listic down to 300 HP and gets sent into the hotel. He does have, well, one stand come up in just a second, but I don't know if he's going to survive this either way.
Still in danger on checkout. 100 HP, and the welcoming committee is there to ensure that you don't really leave the bareness unscathed. Hoot, meanwhile, other side of the map, able to get on the Empty Dreams. Mazag falling immediately thereafter, as Abrahams is starting to take control on all sides here. Jason building up a 10k soul lead pre-10 minutes.
Yeah, it looks a lot closer to the beginning of the game than it's kind of turned out to be. Every lane for Abrahams now is just doing some serious work. Even Sonya up to 8.2 in that middle lane as he's competing up against Cosmetical at pretty much the exact same amount of souls. I don't think Cosmetical is going to have an opportunity to do anything in this game with the way it's been playing out. Like together, Hoot, Sonya, Dima, like everyone's, it feels like is so far ahead that you're going to hit this tipping point where Lowkey W just can't come back.
Well, this is kind of what I was getting at the draft, where I feel like Abrahams has a bit of a tempo advantage in the early to mid game, and Lowkey W kind of only get to flex the power of their draft if it goes late, and it goes late with it being even. And I don't know if that's gonna be the case, because right now Empty Dreams is relatively starved relative to where Sanya is. Like, Cosmetical is doing fine, but Mina does not become a terror until a little bit later to the game. But okay, jump pad stun in the Hoot into some serious damage on the Bazag, into the slam on top, catches him for the ride thereafter. Bazag playing around the wall for dear life, and they've got enough support here to punish Hoot in turn.
And the rotation's going to be there. I'm a little bit surprised not to see Together actually join into that fight. I feel like Hoot maybe should not have died for that one. Together will be rotating around to look for Vrake potentially. As a chase down's coming in on top of Cosmetical too, there's going to be the Affliction coming in, hitting Together, forcing him down away from the buff as it has been secured by Cosmetical. But for how long as he gets the parry? Onto Tass here in the air. Uses the Sangwon retreat just to get away here. And he does create the distance to look like to keep that casting buff.
Off and around, the Baroness ready to go. Tass not quite able to get close enough. Instead, taking the door as an escape back around. Abrahams, though, making pretty deep inroads in the Lowkey W territory, getting control of the urn. Also, honestly, the urn threshold here, really unfortunate for Lowkey W. Abrahams was so close to being ahead just enough that the urn wouldn't be neutral, but they got it right at the edge.
Well, their counter here is to take the guard on the left-hand side. Seems like let the urn actually be turned in for free. Well, for free. They get a guardian, I have to say. So Tass is going to be under some fire here. You see towards that middle lane up against 3 players. D-Mob with a quick rotate. With this Serrated Blades maxed out as well. And he has 2 to throw, but 2 might just be enough here, especially if you connect on a Cosmetical. Oh, and another parry. This time on Together, but the 2 knives have connected here, ZP. Cosmetical might go down just from the bleed alone.
It's a pretty serious bleed. Cosmetical... Getting healed. Does Cosmetical have Locket? Where'd that extra heal come? Either that or Cosmetical just like ate a creep camp thereafter. But it doesn't matter. Caught in the end. Tass able to make sure Cosmetical does not get away. And yeah, I mean, Abrahams is just basically be able to do anything they want here in the last few minutes of the game. Things getting more and more problematic for Lowkey W, where again, I don't think they have a comp that actually can handle being deeply behind into the mid game.
Oh, there's a combo. So there's a swap coming in, as Puckett was talking about. Masaji going to be sent into the Baroness Hotel, and D-Mob's got that full rage and these Serrated Blades to be hitting. To be so careful and aware of this one. That's going to be the Death Slam coming through, connecting only onto Obikim. But I think that Apollo won't live much longer than this. He's going to fall, and even Affliction being thrown in, I believe, on top of that. I'm not sure how many players it's actually connected onto, but it seems like Lowkey W are on the chase here, looking for that kill. At the moment, ZP, it's 1 for 1.
1 for 1, Lowkey W trying to make anything happen. Vrake, though, caught out. Hoot able to get the finish. Cosmetical, a little bit of damage on the Lash, but Lash kind of shrugging it off, and Cosmetical looking for the quick retreat as Abrahams regroups in the middle. Still nursing about a 10k lead. Sanya taking the fight here against Ven, close quarters. Pretty big difference in souls between the two, so as much as you love Ven, if you don't land a good gut shot there, Warden is just going to run you over.
We can see his build though, right? He's going somewhat try build. He's got Surge of Power, slowing Hex, intensifying, enduring speed. So he doesn't hit quite necessarily his vitality threshold just yet. But he is starting to definitely ramp up and power up here, and especially just in a few moments with his 3.3k souls. But the pressure's not done. There's even a push happening on the mid lane here for Abrahams, looking for some damage onto Walker, maybe catch an Obikim this time inside of his own jungle.
I see the enemy.
Also, Cage Max first on Warden, which is, I think, one of the better ways to play him at the moment. I think some of the builds we saw last week where, people were deciding, hey, let's, go shield max, ignore Cage, probably are not the way. Also, for those that have been following Deadlock for a really long period of time, it feels like we're back to the basics as Warden is finally building slowing Hex again.
Yeah. Okay, Hoot. The mobility, what he can do on Lash, just makes me so sad that I'm probably one of the worst movement players in this game. As Together going for the charge, it's going to be a big advantage here in terms of manpower for Abrahams here. Together going for the chase on the Cosmetical, more importantly to keep him out of the fight, because he was the most fed player on the team. And they even have someone sent into the Baroness Hotel. That's going to be Obikim coming out directly into a baseball bat in his face. I think he built an escape from this one with the ultimate to get the extra distance he needs. Or maybe not. The chain going to catch him out. Together really going deep for this.
Wait, Was he stuck in the wall for a moment there? Tony Losan does some weird things with trying to escape. Still, though, Obakim still alive, making the most out of Apollo's tools. However, again, hit from the outside. D-Mob's arrival, certainly going to end that. And now, if you're Abrahams, you can just take the people you have on left, see if they decide to go directly in the walker. I think a few are wounded, and there's some respect being given here to the Cosmical. Cosmical on the chase down, looking to proc love bites on Tass, gets that at a minimum. As Abraham decides, you know what, we don't have to go for Walker just yet.
There was a big win for Lowkey W that just happened. Sonic Sniper went down in a 1-on-2 up against Mazda G and Empty Dreams, and I believe the bag he picked up for Empty Dreams before did not get spent in time, because Empty Dreams is at 15k himself, so he's definitely caught back up here against his counterpart on the other side. But they're gonna need a lot more out of him if they want to have a chance to win this game here, as Abraham's in the full driver's seat up to 6k. The next urn going to be spawning in here in about 15 seconds, as well as bridge buffs, and Abrahams have already started to swarm over the left and right side bridge.
I mean, credit to Lowkey W, given that they were down 10k pre 10 minutes, to keep it within 10k at 15 is actually fighting back and, you know, keeping this closer than you might have expected for how it started. Also, Obakim getting the vitality buff, making Apollo all the more annoying to deal with. But big rotation here on the right for Abrahams. Combo opening the fight, Listic in danger from the get-go. Able to shrug off a decent amount of the damage, though. Wasn't actually the most ideal combo target. Sanya, though, popping the last stand. Deeper dive. Cosmetical, a little bit later to the fight. Pretty decent damage in or the top as Listic gets urn control and then is immediately sent to the Baroness for his trouble. Spread out fight all over the place. Together getting caught on the back end as Lowkey W is getting the better of this here, Jason, as messy as it was.
Yeah, they get one kill, but more importantly, get control of the urn, which is going to be huge, especially if they can turn this in, because now down only 3k. They're definitely bouncing back into this game, though Cosmetical's, I want to say, kind of fallen off a little bit in terms of the amount of souls he was getting. He had 2 deaths back-to-back being chased down, prevents him from continuing to get this farm, and now Listic, well, he thought about just going straight for it, but there is a little bit of presence. More importantly, they have Hoot, Death Slam ready to go. He's going to need it if they want to have a chance to contest this one, because the reinforcements are coming on that left-hand side.
Urn is just dunked, so no Death Slam comes in time, and instead, Hoot is getting the business up on top, finished off by the Tani Losan. Obakim able to deal with Abraham's not really committing into that fight. Now looking for a few scraps on the outskirts as Jason, after that urn turn in, Lowkey W's in the lead. They were down 10k, now up a little bit, and taking some sinners to boot.
Yeah, quite surprising, honestly, with how this game started. I mean, it was a 10k lead for Abraham's, winning basically every single lane. What I want to do here, ZP, is if we can get a check-in on items, but more importantly, I want to look towards abilities. I think Mazda G maxed his time wall first. So you swap someone through the time wall, then you have Nox Nostra on top of that. You're just like permanently silenced, and there's no way you're going to escape any sort of like fight that happened from that one. And I think we saw that happen actually in this last chance when we saw Saint get swapped in, then he was just permanently silenced and couldn't even score to get his health back up, and eventually did escape. But I'm also really curious to see, did Empty Dreams, what build did he go? And he did go for, why did I actually know? I guess he did go for his grenade.
I actually think Empty Dreams has been targeted priority number 1. It's why you have Saint over here on the left-hand side. If you can get a kill on the Empty Dreams, he's going to have the longer respawn timer. And off the slowing hex pocket, Vrake nearly getting stuck in the cage. But the biggest difference that we've had in gameplay swing here, on top of the aggregate getting evened up, Empty Dreams had a terrible start to this game. He was something like at 6k souls when Sanya was at 10. And over the last 5 minutes, Empty Dreams has taken a lot on the map on Ven. His farming kicks up a lot into the mid game once you get some of your items. And now is at 21k souls, a way bigger threat. But now Empty Dreams, priority number 1, I was just saying, the combo in from the back. Billy on the support. But overall, not enough damage to actually turn that into a kill. And Mo might get caught for the danger. Swap in the charge into dead.
You see there, like the silence so big to keep him from scoring, not to mention the charge out of Listic. Tiny Loso has come back in onto Hoot here as he's just trying to escape. Now it seems just have Sonya off to the side as they have taken down a Walker here and doing some good damage to the mid lane Walker. So at least getting something out of this pressure that Abraham's committed on that left-hand side. It didn't net them a kill, it netted them a death, but at least one Walker in hand.
Of course, Walker for Walker, as it turns out. Listic able to combine with Rake for the left-hand side Walker. Looking here, decent damage on the Walker on the Sanya, who eats the carbine.
I like that better. Carboin.
Look, speaking is difficult, as it turns out.
I liked it.
But yeah, overall, I think Abraham's in some real danger here, Jason. You take a look at who's going to be carrying these fights. I don't have faith in the Warden at this point. I think Lowkey W made a bet on Ven and Mina getting into the mid to late game at reasonable farm, and right now that appears to be the case. So I actually think Abraham's in some real danger. Also on top of it, I don't know if Saint's been having the right targets on Mo, but okay, as I say that, break. So he gets caught by Doorman. Opportunity for Abrahams to get more of the map.
You know what's weird though, ZP? Dimov has a kill streak, but he's also the lowest amount of souls on his team, and actually almost lowest souls in the game. That doesn't normally go hand in hand when you see someone with a kill streak and then being one of the lowest soul earners in the game. As the Death Sun's going to come in, catches out Maz the G, but again, the time wall does buy him some time. More importantly, the Abrahams were trying to bait in a fight here. They need to get the kill onto him with Dimov solidifying that with the serrated blades. Not sure if they can turn this into a kill though. I think that's onto Listic thrown into the Baroness Hotel. He gets sent back into a walker. Oh
wait, he got back to the door. The door didn't get shut. Tass has not been great at shutting the door here today. That could have actually been a kill on Listic. Instead, he's able to just squirrel his way out of there. Now we'll see how the rest of this ends up going down. Listic in a bit of danger. Cage connects. Sanya on the finish. Abraham's starting to get Lowkey W in a bit of a death spiral here. Who did half HP? A little bit of a back out. Neither team in a strong enough position to immediately go back in the mid boss.
Yeah, as we saw, the mid boss was just over half HP. It didn't scream just yet, if I'm not mistaken. Abrahams are trying to... Actually, you know what? They might even just try to finish it right now because they see the urn being picked up, and this is typical Abraham style. Just rush the mid boss when they see the urn being taken. They're going to be going for it here. Sonic going to be leading the charge. You have to take count of ultimates, and Break, it's up to him. Be in the right position at the right time for your ultimate. That affliction could go huge here and get a Lowkey W a massive win.
I don't love this all for Abrahams. I mean, they're playing a very dangerous game. They make the mid-boss scream, and now they're out looking for a fight. The upside, they got combo ready to go, and they're generating enough chaos here that maybe if you're Saint, you land a good combo onto someone, you get the quick pick off. You're forcing the hand of Lowkey W to fight, but this is not a guaranteed fight by any means. Combo comes out, they get pocket. One of the squishier targets he has, fall through going to be there. Swap comes out, and instead it's Mo that pays the penalty. Saint is down. Affliction out. Onto Warden, single target. Sanya shrugging off the worst of it here. His pockets, 14 HP, in all sorts of danger. Vrake gonna end up falling. Dimov picking up the scraps, 5 kill streak, and his team fighting has been immaculate, even if Dimov has been getting very little farm over the course of the game.
No serrated blades left though. Goes through the door. He's probably screaming for Tass. Shut the door, but he can't because he's dead. He goes back in for the fight. Gets gut shot back into a wall yet again here. Connects the blade over onto Empty Dreams. It's going to be taken away, but he has nothing to follow up with, and that's just a swarm of Lowkey W players all over him. A 3 for 2 so far in favor of Lowkey. Again, mid-boss had already screamed, so there is a world where they could go for the contest in the finish. I don't know if they're feeling too confident to do that just yet.
I mean, mid-boss is down at 30%, and you look at Sanya going down the mid once more off the mini-map. Could be on the path. It's always a little bit tricky to see where exactly people are, but I think Abrahams is going to force the issue.
These combos, I mean, you pointed out earlier, but we've seen the last 2 or 3 combos just net nothing. And if anything, it's been Saint dying from the combos because he gets swapped in perfectly by Mazaji, and then Listic hits him with the charge, and there's no chance to escape. It's been really well dealt with by Lowkey W with how prevalent Mo has been in the last 2 weeks of this meta. And I think they've done a fine job of preventing Saint from being too impactful in this game, and to definitely not snowball.
Also, Listic has been kind of full on the support. I'll make some spaces. Abrams play here. It just knows the 0-7. Hasn't really felt like an 0-7 Listic game, but it has been the case in the end. Mid boss though has been slain. Rejuvenator's coming on down. Gates coming in over the top, knocks Astra to lead the way. Doorman setting up here on the pit. It is absolute chaos as Death Slam comes in. First rejuve in the Lowkey W. Listic able to pick up another kill. Mizag within the second, and all 3 rejuves go the way of Lowkey W. Doorman not able to make enough space here for Abrahams as they lose 4 people on the back end side. Lowkey W with a clear advantage.
You know, I was talking before about how Abrahams do such a good job of fighting in areas that really favor them. Fighting into a mid-boss with Vrake having Affliction up was not the play for them, man. Down 4 players, no. They lose the urn, they lose every single rejuve, and Lowkey W, they lost one of them eventually to a fight. This is going completely, they're weighing out 20k, man. Lowkey W have completely turned this match around, and I have to say, like, Empty Dreams and Vrake, most importantly, have been the real standout players, but you cannot deny Mazaji and Listic have been playing extremely well.
Sanya able to pick up a little bit of the solo walker farm. The upside here, I think, for Abrahams, if you're going to be playing with the Warden, you need your Warden to be disproportionately rich. Sanya is disproportionately rich, I just don't know if it is enough. You're down 20k overall. Your vaunted front line is going to get torn through here by Cosmetical and Empty Dreams. Like, this is the upside for Lowkey W, where they don't prioritize the Billy. They don't prioritize things that are tanky, and they go, well, if we get later into the game, we think our Ven and our Mina are going to be able to rip things up. That bet so far is looking to pay off.
No. Is he getting through the door? No, he didn't get through the door. And Tass will escape on just 300 HP. Even trying to contest their own jungle is not going to be working out for them. I mean, Sonya, he's at 31k. Like, he's quite rich, but MTG's been able to match him. What? The Warstone combo on a Listic from below. Listic, Rejuve now popped. Down to 1 Rejuve left for Lowkey W. And that's going to be a Mazda G and Listic without it.
It's so funny when you look at the amount of attention Listic has gotten this game, but Lowkey W winning. It's like Listic has taken on the role of like, I will take all the pain, so none of you have to feel pain. He has been priority #1, but look, if you're getting cooldowns out, if you're getting comboed a lot, which has been the case. I mean, Sane has chosen Listic as the combo target many a time. It's not going on to other people. It's still creating room for players like Empty Dreams and Cosmetical. So, you know, all in all, it's interesting how this has worked out, and, you know, Listic playing the role of Pinata hasn't been bad for Lowkey W.
Full-on retreat here out of Abraham's. Empty James gets thrown into the Walker and gets thrown into the Baroness Hotel with no stamina to use either. He's not going to make it out. He's going to take that full-on damage. Will the follow-up be there? Actually, the counterspell comes in to save him from that, but it's not going to save him for the Death Slam directly under the Walker into a stun as well. Abraham's throwing everything they have into this fight, but they need the connections, they need the damage, and if anything, they've lost 2 players themselves. The Affliction doing some serious work here onto Hootis. He just tries to escape. Neurodomini coming in, and I don't know if Hoot's going to survive this one.
And not only is Hoot maybe not going to survive, the Walker certainly isn't. And Empty Dreams was the true survivor there. They threw everything into Ven. Ven shrugs it off. Of course, Ven very tanky as he gets to the end game. All the resistance is off the gut shot into the damage on the Hoot, who just barely is able to escape. The power of Venator on full display here, and Empty Dreams weathering the storm and then some. 31k difference between both teams as Lowkey W looks to deny Abrahams from the bunny match, which would be the first time in a very long time that that has happened.
Boys, the chat is freaking out. Is this one actually over here? Is there a window for Abrahams to get back in it?
There's always a window for Abraham to get back in this, I'd say, bucket. There's always a role where Lowkey W, because this happened in the previous iteration of Lowkey W. They were beating Abrahams, then they fought them at mid-boss in one of the staircases and lost the game from that alone. There's still a world where something like that can happen, so I wouldn't count out one of the best teams in EU. But if this happened, ZP, it wouldn't be the first time in a long time. It'd be the first time ever in Night Shift history that Abrahams had not been in the finals.
Yeah, you would have to go back to looking at, you know, weekly tournaments in the, you know, era when, you know, Fight Night was a thing to find a time that Abrahams wasn't in the money match. You have to go very, very far back. But we'll see. We're not there yet. They still have an opportunity to turn this to their favor, even though Lowkey W in the driver's seat here so far. Cosmetical. And a bit of damage from afar. Earn control still had by Abrahams. Is the intercept going to be there? Billy sees the welcoming committee. And together, just going to back out a little bit. Lowkey W doing everything to preserve their lead. We see a quick retreat back in the spawn for Tass. And so far, Earn turn-in is being denied, Jason.
Yeah, they kept it back at their own base, keeping the pressure on for Lowkey W. And you know, ZP, we always talk about, like, win more heroes. That when you're ahead, those heroes become even better. You know, Warden obviously going to be one of those. But we're going to talk about heroes that can help you win from behind. I think Doorman is always one of those heroes. The fact that you're trying to push their base and he can send you into their spawn is something that you really have to keep in your mind for Lowkey W. And not to mention, you're not just pushing into Doorman, you're pushing into a Lash. It's very difficult, I think, for Lowkey W to take these fights in the base and win. They have to catch Abrahams out outside of the base if they want to have a chance to take these shrines.
You got to feel the energy for Lowkey W is incredibly high right now, but also the nerves may be there too. I mean, to take down Abrahams, doing it at best of one of the best opportunities you're ever going to have is, okay, Abrahams, they're playing for the pick right now, Jason. They're sitting up here in the upper right going, okay, someone's going to have to catch this wave. And when they go to catch this wave, they're going to catch 2 fists courtesy of Mo. But Lowkey W, they're not buying into it. They're going, push that wave. We don't care. We're not going to let you get Earn. And that's a big old divine stake, hitting Tass off the blessed bonus, putting him in a world of hurt and immediately back in the spawn for the heal.
All right, so they take down one of the base guardians and retreat away. I mean, mid boss, it's going to be spawning relatively soon, and that has to be the next like point of contention, I would say, to both these two teams. And for Abrahams, realistically, how do you push into a mid boss fight when they have Vrayk ready to go with that affliction? I just don't think you really can. You have to get a catch somewhere, and I think that's why we saw them try to go for something on that right hand side, being very sneaky for a combo catch.
Ideally, you need to generate a pickoff, and here we go. In onto the Paradox. Mauza in danger and immediately erased. The combo successful as well as the follow through. An opportunity now created for Abrahams. Can they complete another comeback? First things first, they need to get out here cleanly, not give the pick, and oh my goodness, Hoot running directly point blank in Empty Dreams, nearly gives his life for it, and does. The damage a little bit overwhelming. Pick answered for pick, and that is not at all what Abrahams wanted off the start of this.
Bro, Saint got so tired of being swapped in the middle of this combo. They said, you know what, Mauza, I'm going straight for you instead. They get the instant kill. But with Hoot falling, they lose that man advantage that they desperately needed, because it is going to be a 30k difference. You can see Listic already charged on forward, whether that's his choice or not. Combo's not up just yet. They still have Affliction ready to go, and they're trying to get a catch on a one more player to maybe force a mid boss. But honestly, I could say, I feel like they could take a mid boss right now and still win it because of having Affliction on their side.
Seismic Slam in, and by the way, that is a big old Seismic Slam with the build that Listic is on right now.
They're doing
actually a little bit more fearsome on the scaling, but here we go. Lowkey W deciding we have the advantage. Let's go for it. Listic actually tickling the mid boss, realizing, wait, there's no point me doing this if other people aren't here first. But now he has the support he needs. Abrahams, though, they're going to look to contest this. You have the doorman. You got to look for the miracle.
They have combo coming up in just a second. There's nowhere to kill the mid boss quick enough. So there's a world where Saint could catch out Vrayk to prevent the affliction from going out if they needed to. And Abraham's like right above him. Everyone's respawned back in. Who's going to be rejoining the fight here? And Task gets a kill on him as a G. I think that was off the help of a combo. Once again, Saint opened up two big picks for Abrahams. And now mid boss, it's going to be started and continued by Lowkey W. I don't know, man. This is really dangerous. This is one of those points of the game where they can make a mistake and Abrahams can easily take this match back.
Abrahams, this is the best opportunity they're going to get. They have the 6-on-5. Everyone is healthy. Yeah, they're down combo. But while this is going on, they're using the tension to grab mid walker, and they get it relatively freely. A really nice macro call. And now instead, Lowkey W. We'll see if they're going to contest mid boss. Abrahams, they decide they want to push the issue. They have to contest this, but this time around, they're going to have a fully set up doorman for this mid boss. They have to commit here, Jason. 6-on-5. Oh, Affliction comes in. How many did he hit?
I'm not quite sure. It's only one. Are you kidding me?
Only got one.
Pass. That's such a big win here for Lowkey, or for Abrahams. All they have to do is just take the rejuve now.
Rejuve crystal is down. The cart comes out.
Refresher affliction.
2 rejuves though for Abrahams. However, Empty Dreams is in on the cleanup. Both rejuves immediately down. Goes for to stay into the Paradise Hotel. Immediately interrupted. Tass in a world of hurt. Lowkey W able to clean up this mid boss towards the end. All rejuves are gone. Abrahams running for their lives with 3 left alive.
The game is over now, ZP?
No, not at all. I mean, yes, they're gonna be able to get more, but right now, without the full rejuves, the overall state of the game has gotten a little bit closer. It's still Lowkey W favored, but this one can go longer just by virtue of the fact that Abrahams didn't give up rejuves to Lowkey W in that exchange. For lasting rejuves.
When the hell did Vrayk pick up Refresher? Because I could have sworn that was Refresher Affliction coming out. Unless I'm completely blind or I didn't see it correctly. Did you see this as well, ZP? Does Vrayk have Refresher?
I'm not 100% sure.
Can we get a check on that? Because if he does, that was a huge pickup here for Lowkey W in a very pivotal point of the game, because now the first shrine's gone, the second shrine as well. They're gonna get the stage 1 patron, but honestly, I don't think they can go for the finish just yet.
Yeah.
Wow, huge play out of Vrayk.
I don't think you can stay here for Lowkey W. I think you get first stage patron and leave. Staying would be a mistake. But man, this is down to the wire. They're in on the chase. They get the combo. Vrayk gonna go back in and turn. Drops the frogs once more. Listic though blown up in exchange. Knocks Nostra out. Not doing the biggest amount of damage. Just trying to buy a little bit of room for escape. And Abrahams, they're still out for a little bit of blood here, Jason. They're chasing it down. They think maybe they could catch the Ven. On the top of it, Hoot is leading the charge here through the front. Then they use the door for a greater escape. Looking now into Cosmetical. The cage comes out, and actually, Cosmetical goes to jail for a moment. Swap comes out, though, towards the very end. More pressure here on the Sanyu, who has to go to the door to escape. It is getting all sorts of messy. Mauza G and Empty Dreams both go down down towards the end. Abraham's on the scrappy chase down, getting some real progress done.
You were saying, Puck, it's sure the game's over now, right? As you can see, no way whatsoever, man. Cosmetical, he's gonna fall as well. Who picks up the kill? It's gonna cost him his life, but that's still gonna be Abraham's with a massive man advantage here. They gotta reset their waves. Left lanes crash in. They only have the final stage of the patron left to go here, but I think they would take shrines for themselves if they can. The Rake's gonna have affliction here in just about 20-30 seconds. Abraham's, they might be down, but you can never count them out. There's a sound wave coming in as well, going to catch on Obi can counterspell, prevents him from taking too much damage. At least the base guardians will fall, and Abraham's realize, okay, we got to back out. We got to get away from this one. We have Urn coming up, we have buffs coming up, and a ton of jungle camps to take. This game is not over whatsoever, ZP.
No, not in the least. Overall, Lowkey W still working at an advantage, but the fact that Abraham's has been able to keep this in contest, and the fact that they were able to just chase down and turn that into a ridiculous chase down is testament to Abraham still being able to work the impossible at times. Also, what really enabled that, Jason, more than anything else, that was the power of Doorman there to actually cross a massive amount of distance to keep the pressure up, you know, to put Cosmetical in danger, the force Empty Dreams to come out, end up getting killed himself. I mean, that was a ridiculous chase down.
When did he get the door there? That's what I don't know. I mean, the door that they ended up going through, when did he put that down? Because I didn't see him move at all from, like, I didn't see him, like, run ahead to go put that down. Was that down from, like, a previous fight or something? Or maybe I just, like, missaw?
It may have just been long range there, to be honest. I mean, the range gets quite long towards the end. But here we go, Jason. Abraham's in control of the urn. Lowkey W. We'll see how they go to contest this here. I don't think you want to take bad team fight positioning for urn at this point in the game. I feel like you're using urn as a tool to force movement. So how the initiation of this team fight breaks down, I think, is going to be the most crucial thing of all. The way these fights have been panning out, especially when you have combo and you have Baroness Hotel.
Let them take urn. Let them run it over to the side of the map, and while they do that, just go finish the game. I think the one downside is they don't have minion waves shoved up in the left or mid lane to do that. They'd have to go through base gardens on the right hand side, so it's not really like viable for them to do it. And actually, they pick up the urn themselves, so I have to completely scrap the idea I had. I could just see that happening. A pure cinema that could be of a base race. But I don't really see Lowkey W turn the urn themselves either, because this is not going to be an ideal situation. I don't
think you want to be holding the urn right now. I think we're so late into the game, and these team comps are so reliant on getting a good opening. I think holding the urn at all currently is a liability, and Lowkey W is arguably making a very big mistake focusing on urn control at the moment. Because if their priority on urn control ends up giving Abraham's the initiation they want, the game is going to be over and Abraham's is going to get into the money match despite Lowkey W holding a lead for the majority of this game. So this is very, very tense for both teams, but I would honestly urge Lowkey W, do not get baited by the urn in this instance. Like, the urn is not going to win you the game. The next good team fight is going to win you the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably gonna be mid boss, honestly. That's what I see it to be momentarily. Coming back up. The barrage connect on the D-Mob. I'm not gonna throw the affliction to this one, and he does have refresher back up, so we're gonna see double afflictions potentially in this fight, and it might come in around the urn fight. Actually, we see Listic gonna catch on two together. The chain gang pulling him on forward, pops that metal skin to keep him healthy and alive, and they get the turn in themselves. Son is not here. He's forced to teleport back over. Maybe that's why we saw Abraham's give up the actual position around it.
Listic sees the door slam in his face. Abraham's, though, I mean, they're not able to make the most of not having urn control there. Lowkey W, they get the urn turned in, and now it's Lowkey W in on the chase down, looking for the finish. They think they have D-Mob caught. Listic brings for a ride, and D-Mob's dead. D-Mob getting caught. A massive pick now as Abraham's faces elimination before the money match. Combo has been used, and Saint is in a terrible spot, getting hit from all angles, all of 500 HP. And Tommy Losan, that's one way to finish off the mole. As Tass right now trying to get away. 3 dead for Abraham's. Lowkey W, full strength. If Cosmetical is able to get away, it's going to be huge, but no. Finished off by Hoot on the top. Abraham's still trying to make something happen. Both afflictions were used as Sanya, low HP, goes down. The affliction, too much to bear. Only 2 members left here from Abraham's, and Lowkey W. A mid-boss is up. They could look to end the game. A lot of options here as they're only down Mina here, Jason, but they are a bit wounded.
Jason, if this goes to 40 minutes, Lowkey W definitely wins, right?
I don't think it's going 40 minutes. I think it's ending right here, right now, to be honest. The waves are shoved in. There's only a patron left to go here with no stages to get through, and Hoot's not even in the base. This is going to be the first time since, what, May of 2025, I saw our production tell us that Abrahams will not make it into the money match here in the Deadlock night shift, and that was back in Fight Night. What a huge win for Lowkey W. They struggled at the beginning, being 10K behind, but my God, they came back. What a phenomenal win here, ZP.
What a call, ZP. You said that if this game goes long, it goes to Lowkey W. We almost had a 39-minute game. We finished just under that. Empty Dreams, Obakim, Listic, Cosmetical, Vrake, and Mazza G are moving on to the money match. Did you have that on your bingo card?
No, I don't think a lot of people had this on their bingo card. This was supposed to be the week that Abrahams got things back together. It was the week that they're supposed to win the money match. No one saw them stumbling and falling here in the challenger match, where Abrahams, their tough weeks continue, not only losing the money match in back-to-back weeks, but now not even being in the money match. The slide is real, and Abrahams, they got to figure out this new patch, because so far they have not found the answers.
Bro, they're in every night shift since #1. There is a logo for Abrahams there, whether they won or lost. And this is the first time in 30 night shifts we're not going to see it. That's crazy.
They won 14 all the way down to night shift 27. Since then, it has been Leviathan causing problems. Tonight, they don't even make it to the grand finals as Lowkey W breaks into their third grand final in night shift history. This is fun to watch, and I have to ask ZP, after this much success, 28 of your 29 or 29 of your 30 episodes, you've gone to a grand final. Do you start to panic after your third struggle? Do you expect a team change, or do they figure out this patch and stick together with the 6-man lineup?
I mean, if anyone knows esports, you know that it is not an easy thing for a team to deal with, to be #1 and then suddenly not be #1. You can let 1 week go and go, okay, that was a fluke, we messed around, we got caught off guard. 2 weeks back to back, you're dang worried. 3 weeks where you essentially suffer the humiliation of not going to money match with the prestige that Abrahams has historically had, you are freaking out internally. I honestly think that even in the healthiest of coaching setups, you got your work cut out for you, because this is a bitter pill to swallow. But it's also a testament to how much the rest of EU has been grinding, looking to catch up, looking to bridge the gap. And in this case, they were able to do it. Also, I think in the postmortem, I would just go back and say, I think Abrahams had a pretty bad draft here, looking at it. I think, honestly, you might have to say maybe first pick Mo isn't the answer if it gives up both really strong late game carry options. I think giving up the Ven Mina at the beginning, for Lowkey W, we wondered how to pan out them not having frontline, and the answer is worked out pretty damn well as they got into the late game without being too far behind.
Jason, walk me through some of these insane highlights. This was a huge pop-off play.
MJ James, he got thrown into the pit with Vortex Web, and he counterspells the cart so he can stay in the middle of the fight as well. That was, ZP is talking about Tassus here in the ideal situation. He can knock people out of this pit with his door and his cart, and he actually counterspelled it. I want to say almost indirectly to stay in that fight. It was honestly ridiculous. And the funny thing is, we're obviously talking about Venator, we're talking about Mina being like the late game carriers for the team, but as I said over in our chat, I think for me, the real MVP, it's got to be Mazza G or Vrake. I feel like Mazza G and Listed together did a fantastic job of dealing with Saint, preventing those combos from getting kills with the swaps into charges, just punishing Saint time and time again. You saw him eventually be like, okay, well, the only person I can combo is got to be the Paradox.
Looking at the numbers, ZP, 32 kills to 31 kills. That's the closest I can remember for an EU Challenger matchup. What is the parity, though, in their souls? You had about a difference of 29K.
Yeah, I mean, Lowkey W, once they were able to win a few fights in the mid game, they just held a commanding lead for most of the game. Yes, at one point it got close where Abrahams had incredibly a gutsy chase down courtesy of TAS, where Lowkey W kind of overstayed their welcome. But look, I'm going to echo the idea here that pocket play by Vrake had a massive impact on this game. I mean, Vrake, he was able to, not only land multiple good afflictions, generally stay out of trouble, wasn't really the target of combo all that often, where also, I will say this, and people may be looking and going, what are you talking about? He was 1-8. I think Listic made a lot of space in this game as Abrams, even though he was usually the one eating punishment. If you're causing Saint to go for a combo on Abrams half the time, and that combo isn't landing on Vrake, isn't landing on Cosmetical, or other targets that you would otherwise rather be on, I actually think you're doing your job pretty well overall. So Lowkey W had a lot that made this work. I think the pocket play was sublime. I also think Empty Dreams had a really good comeback story. It was a terrible start for Empty Dreams at the beginning of the game, and Empty Dreams was able to just, take a deep breath. Enough space was made, farm the jungle, get right back in, because never forget the way this game started. If you look at the graphs here, Abrahams was up 10K pre 10 minutes. This game probably should not have flipped the way it did back, but Lowkey W was able to make it happen.
So from my notes here, Jason, sublime pocket play leads to comebacks.
I think you
get
go
that
with
right?
that. I think you can go with
All
that.
right.
It sounds pretty.
There we go.
Legit to me. I mean, that's just the power of max affliction, man. You cannot heal while that's up. I think the only way you can heal is to be back in your own base, which means any fight you take away from your base, ultimately you're most likely going to lose over time.
You said Pocket was the hard counter to the Kelvin Shiv combo, as well as something that Abrahams have showcased in the past. They go with a very thick roster. The Doorman was a huge disappointment to chat, but who wasn't? This man. Let's showcase your MVP from Lowkey W. Moving on to the money match. It's the German. Vrake dropping 47,000 souls. You had over 58,000 damage, half that on the objective. What was the Pocket so impressive with, though, ZP? What stood out in your eyes?
I mean, I think for Vrake, the key is that Vrake was not getting caught all that often, and then Pocket as a hero, they simply do bring a lot of team fight presence if you're able to land good afflictions, and I do like the change up here of going Refresher. I think one of the big downsides about Pocket when you look at when Pocket, they fell out of the meta for quite a bit of time is people would just go Divine Barrier, and people go like, well, this sucks, my affliction is getting removed. Well, now you go Refresher, and it's kind of an example of, well, are you going to DB the affliction twice? Probably not. So I think Refresher Pocket is a pretty reasonable change up to an item meta that wasn't really going in their favor.
And I think it was the timing he had it as well, too, right? Because Vrake just picked up at like the fight around mid boss that honestly it felt like 5 minutes of time. And because he had his refresh, he only hit Tass initially. Then he comes back in. I think he hits 3 more people the affliction than the contestant actually went out. I think this is it right here. Actually hits these 3 players. That's a fight that they're gonna win. I think it was very well timed. And as you put out, ZP, like the adaptation on builds, going for the refresher, considering they kind of need to, considering the way people are building these days, was spot on. And this is why I want to see more Pocket, man. Like they really can like turn around these games.
ZP, there is a new copy pasta here about Listic's playstyle. Is he intentionally just going in until he gives a cosmetical advantage? What was the game plan there with the Abrams constantly getting bullied? All of his teammates were surviving. At the end, though, he did have most assist.
Again, it sounds like a meme and people have turned it into a meme, but it is a real strategy. If you're an Abrams and you are getting hit with all the key cooldowns, even if you're dying and not getting kills, those cooldowns haven't been used on the people that are otherwise going to win you the team fight. So if I'm Listic, I'm reading the chat here and I'm kind of being like, but guys, no, actually, that was kind of the plan here. Like, you can have a successful game on Abrams and be 1-8. It's not about the kills, it's about the space created. And I think Listic did legitimately create a lot of space.
Game over. We have Lowkey W moving on to the grand final. We will showcase you the bracket as we have Leviathan, a 2-time reigning champ, going for their 3rd crown. We're excited about that matchup. If you could describe what we just witnessed in the last 39 minutes, though, Mr. Kaplan, how would you say this game played out?
Cinema.
Excellent stuff. Solomon.
Sorry, I thought you wanted one word. I thought you wanted one word from me.
We're going to break. When we come back, we've got your EU Championship match. Don't go anywhere. It's night shift number 30.